Hi, artists of the world. It's Natalia from Yes Art Marketing, and this is a channel about building an art business that supports your creativity and your life instead of constantly making you feel exposed, pressured, or like you have to become someone you're not. We talk about marketing, pricing, positioning, and sales, but also about the emotional reality of doing it as a sensitive, creative person, because the strategy and psychology are always connected here. And today I will talk about something that holds a lot of artists back, which is the fear of rejection when it comes to selling your work on social media. Not like posting, most artists can post, but I mean actually selling, saying the price, saying that it's available, inviting someone to buy. This is where the discomfort really starts to rise. And what makes this more complicated is that many artists already have a negative relationship with the word sales. So it's not just a fear of rejection, it's a fear of stepping into something that feels uncomfortable, maybe even unauthentic, and then risking that it won't work on top of that. That combination is powerful enough to make someone really give up before they've even tried. When artists tell me that they're afraid of selling, what they often mean is that they're afraid of looking salesy. And when we try and unravel this, there's usually a whole story underneath that word. Salesy feels pushy, manipulative, desperate, loud, transactional, cold. It feels like forcing something. It feels unnatural. And most artists don't identify with that. They see themselves as thoughtful, intuitive, maybe even introverted. And so when you tell yourself, I need to sell my art, it can feel like you're being asked to be someone you're not, to step into a personality that doesn't really belong to you. Yeah, that creates a lot of internal resistance before you've even done anything. And then let's layer rejection on top of that. Yeah, you already don't want to do this thing because it feels uncomfortable. And then there is the possibility that as you finally gather the courage to post your work with a price and nobody responds, your brain looks at that and says, aha, so I have to do something I don't want to do. And it also might not work, right? So, of course, you want to avoid that. No one wants to do this. So, what happens instead is that you post your art, you share your process, you talk about inspiration, you do it all right, but then you don't clearly invite people to buy. You don't normalize your pricing for them, you keep it vague. And then you quietly conclude that social media isn't just effective for selling art because people are not reaching out to you. They're not asking if they can buy it. They're not making that step on their side. Yeah. And the reason they're not is that you didn't make the first step inviting them. So the truth is that you never fully allow yourself to sell. Selling art is emotionally different from selling whatever neutral product because your art carries your taste, your perspective, your experiences, your sensitivity, your skill. So when you attach a price to that and you say this is available, it can feel like you're attaching your worth to that number. And if nobody responds, your nervous system doesn't interpret that as neutral market feedback. It interprets that as silence about you. They don't value this, they don't value me, maybe I'm not good enough, maybe this is not for me. And it happens automatically in your head. But in business, silence is not a verdict. It's information, is data for you. It might mean that your audience need more warming up. It might mean that the right buyer hasn't seen it yet. It might mean that your messaging needs some refinement, or maybe that you haven't repeated the offer enough times. It might simply be the timing. And all of that we can figure out. It's not just a verdict that it's not going to happen for you. Art sales, they're rarely just instant. They build over time. They are relational. So when you collapse all of that into I failed, you're making it personal when it's not. You're not looking at it strategically. And the artists who manage to keep going are usually the ones who learn to separate the two, who learn to separate their feelings from facts. There's also something about social media that amplifies this fear because everything feels public. If you approach a gallery and they say no, it's a private interaction. It might sting, but it's contained. But if you post a painting online with a price and there are no comments, it can feel like everyone witnessed your attempt and your silence, and you feel really, really exposed. And even though realistically most people are just scrolling past that while thinking about their own lives, your mind imagines everyone watching and judging your performance. So instead of making selling a normal, regular part of your communication, you treat it like a high stakes event. You build it up in your head, you wait for the perfect moment, you make it rare, and that rarity makes it emotionally intense every single time. Your hopes inevitably build up. When something only happens occasionally, the pressure around it really increases by itself. But what are sales, really? This is where reframing is necessary, because selling does not have to mean persuading someone who doesn't want your work. Selling can simply mean making something available clearly and confidently. When you say this piece is $500 shipping worldwide, message me if you're interested, or here's the link, you are not forcing anyone. You're giving information to the person who already feels something when they see it. The right buyer doesn't experience that as pushy. They experience it as helpful. It allows them to act. They know what to do. And the people who don't resonate with that, they never meant to buy that piece anyway, right? So when you shift from I have to convince people to I am just making this amazing piece accessible, everything softens around it. Selling becomes an extension of sharing, just with some clarity added. So how do you actually fix all that? How do you reduce the pressure and make yourself less nervous and more confident around it? I want you to understand that the confidence doesn't arrive on its own before you act. You don't need to sit there and wait until you're ready. It develops after repetition. The first few times you clearly state your price, your body will react. It's normal. You will feel. But then if you keep doing it calmly, consistently, without drama, it becomes so neutral. It becomes easy. It becomes natural. Your nervous system learns that nothing catastrophic is happening, and slowly these rejections, it loses its power over you. These fears, these emotions, this stress, it loses its sharpness. Failure in an art business is not that something didn't sell. Failure is that when you decide to stop trying, it's deciding that this quiet response, one, two, five of them, 10 of them, they mean that you should retreat completely. But it's absolutely normal. You have to accept the fact that, let's say, in the first year of your business, this is something that just happens normally as a part of the game. Before you start selling consistently, you will see the rejection. You will face the silence consistently too. It's normal. It happens to everyone, and it's not the sign of anything besides the fact that you just started and you're learning to do something new that you haven't done before. Every time you make your work visible and available, regardless of outcome, you will be strengthening your resilience. And resilience is what allows you to succeed long term. So if you've been hesitating to sell because you don't want to look salesy, or because rejection feels too personal, you're really not alone. Most artists go through this phase, but you don't have to stay stuck there. Selling doesn't require you to change your personality. It just requires clarity and repetition. If this conversation feels grounding for you, subscribe to the channel. We talk about the strategic and emotional sides of building a sustainable art business, not just quick tactics, but the deeper shifts that allow you to keep going. And if you want more structured support about pricing, confidence, positioning your work clearly, and learning how to sell without feeling exposed or pushy, you can check out Yes Art Club in the description below. Inside the club, we build both the strategy and the emotional steadiness you need to approach the sales calmly and consistently. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video.